Hey, hi. I have a quick little PSA. Not really a PSA. I actually have a PSA after this. I might make it a separate video, but I definitely want to emphasize this point. I know many people have heard this point, but I definitely want to emphasize why comparison. I love this quote. Comparison is the thief of joy. But when we compare ourselves to others, our processes with our hair, sometimes people get a little discouraged, or they have hair goals, and so they seek out a style, and then they may feel some feelings because it doesn't evolve the same way or doesn't look the same way. So I have there's five major areas that will make everyone's process different. Even if I had an identical twin with the same DNA as me, our process will not be exactly the same. Here's the five major reasons why. So the first main reason, obviously, we all know, but texture is different. Hair, all these things with our hair, DNA is different. So our hair is different. And even if I had an identical twin, let's say, there could be differences in how my hair, some things I might have affected my hair, thickness in different areas. So no two people have the exact same anything, even identical twins. That's one major thing that I see. Some people maybe sometimes people will have a picture, or they'll have an aspiration of, oh, I love her hair, I love that size, I love X, Y, and Z. But I sometimes see the person that's showing me that as a goal has a different density, meaning their hair may not be as thick, or it may be thicker. Their curl may be looser or tighter, so their lock is going to evolve differently, and that's one of the main things when it comes to texture and those things, right? So that's one of the main reasons. The second reason, and hey y'all, hi, I'm on several different places, so just say hi if you can, if you want. Obviously, the second thing I led into already, and that was the density thing. So the texture, the size of the curl / coil, because I have coils as a 4C, my hair is locked more cylindrically. My curl naturally was more cylindrical than it was curly. So when my hair settled and matured, it went right into, like, it just locked tighter into the pattern, and my sizing would have also affected that. So I got the size. I was actually very close to my actual curl. I always tell people that my curl was very, very tiny. And so it also affected how my appearance of my locks looked. Even if I got them bigger or a different size, then it would have affected how my hair would have locked differently. But the density is also a thing. So I consider my hair to be a little on the thinner side, and but there are people who have tight coiled hair that's thin. There are people who have tight coiled hair that's thick. My certain parts of my hair has different. I think I tell a lot of people this story. When I started my locks, my edges are always like a little sparse, but they were I had much less hair because I had some damage due to micro braids, and then I had twists. I had a lot of things I would pull and tugging. So my edges and the way my hair even looked visually, it looked thinner and more sparse until it got longer and it started to get healthier and fill in a little bit more. So that also affected how it visually looked, but my hair swelled and expanded differently. So that's another main reason, is the density. And density is not the same as texture. It's not the same as, you remember, coils and curls are different, and they will lock differently. Okay. The third one is the sizing. The third main reason why everyone's hair will look differently. And there's a skill to the sizing, because sometimes that little grid, little box that you see, you have to factor in coil and curl and all these and density for it to actually be the size that's desired. So sometimes when people know size, and if they're doing it exact, they can, not exact. If they have a little higher skill and they're trying to match the size that you desire, then they will do that according to some factors like your hair texture and density. So if I always say, one of my rules of thumbs is the tighter the hair texture, the smallest it can go. So 4C, like mine, I can go a little smaller than I would normally do with some little looser curl. And this is just a rule of thumb for me. Hey y'all. Because the way that hair is going to swell and expand. And I used to say that poodle effect that I used to see a whole lot of when people had teeny tiny parts and curls, and then their hair was just doing this. And then the hair wasn't being pulled into the lock tight. They'd had that poodle effect, and the hair was puffing and swelling out more. So that all is going to vary from person to person, the size that their hair is. And I also see when people say, I like her sizing, but her parts are small. Again, her texture was probably curlier than the person that was saying that they wanted that size. So if they use the same size grid, they would have smaller locks. Does that make sense? So because of how their hair would evolve. Oh, hey, thanks for the knowledge. Wish I can stay, but I need to go. It's okay. Thank you so much for joining BJX Fitness. The fourth one is skill. So I kind of led into that when I was saying how the hair swells and expands, and how I call it tension, the lock tension, how it is gathered into that pattern, how it is caught and nurtured throughout the process. I talked in another video about hair doing its own thing, not being left to chance, but actually nurturing it and coaxing it along into that pattern will give you the best refined results. But sometimes maybe that's not the goal, or maybe that's just not happening, and the hair is swelling a bit more than what someone would like. The hair may be curlier than it is coily, so it is getting fatter, and the lock size is getting bigger. And in my previous video, I showed actually an example of someone who came in and wanted a certain size, and her hair was considered more on the curly side, and it wasn't doing what it was supposed to do. So I had to go in and I had to close up the tension and actually reduce the size of the block. It was about pen width. She wanted it larger. And but before we did that service, when she sat in the chair, it was like the size of my pinky. So we reduced it like half the size just on tension, on repair techniques. So skill is a big factor in how your results will look. And if you are trying to compare it, and some of these things are playing a role, your results will look different. And then the fifth one, I'm kind of speeding through, you can, I'll slow down and expand on them a little bit, but the fifth one is important too. And that is environment that your hair is in. Humidity, what you're doing, the environment, I'm going to include maintenance in that. That could be its own point as well. But how is the hair being physically affected? So if our hair in the earlier stages of locking, humidity activates curl for us, or frizz. And which is why I always instruct people to have water needs to be approached carefully. Submersion of water is not ideal. Your hair could just completely come out of the pattern. But also, is it humid? Is it dry? What's happening out in the environment is the people who live, no, I don't want to say live, but sometimes there's salt does something to hair. I'll say that for people who live by the water. I actually, I like to swim a lot, and I used to live in Far Rockaway by the beach, a block away, and there's a lot of salt in the air of the water. It's just how that affected the locking, that zaps out oil, and it could helps the hair actually lock, but it dries it out a bit. So there's some factors in the environment that play a role in that, depending on where people live, depending on what's happening. And I used to say some of the best times to start locks. I used to say I say spring to summer is not most ideal because of the humidity in the forming locks, and how you would have to be able to make sure you paid attention to how the hair is expanding and swelling. So, but like I said, everyone, all these factors differ from person to person. So if you reference another video, as long as your hair, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you are following routine, you're doing the best that you can along your process, you will have your best results. Your best results may have your hair looking different than someone else's, or someone may not want, you may want your hair to look different. Sometimes people don't, they have preferences on how neat they want their hair. I used to want such a clean, snatched scalp. Some of my clients like that. They call it snatched when they go and they leave an appointment and every hair is into the root, but not tight, not snatched like tension alopecia snatched, but snatched like clean. And some clients would say, I don't like that. That's scalpy. And they wanted their hair to actually kind of look like how mine is, maybe even less, just to look like you can't see parts. And so that's, there's all these differences that people have. My Zen music just went off a little bit. Okay. So those are some of the main reasons, but also just to think about when people are wanting to get a service or wanting certain results. This is why I stress, because I have another video I want to do on this whole DIY movement. DIY microlocks movement, because sometimes it's not realistic, the expectations based on what is being done. Hey, oh, just showing, I think. And so you got to think about all these things. Is it realistic what you're looking for, what you're asking for? Can your hair actually achieve that? And then life situation. So it's like other points that I didn't even add on here. But how it started is sometimes not how it's going to be. Like how I started with my hair before I had a baby, before I got stressed out. Here's a secret, and I'm on 4 platforms telling y'all a secret about my hair. But it is almost entirely white, y'all. I had been through so much stress and changes with my physical body and personal. And I had postpartum alopecia, and I had all these things. So my hair had changed. I had to some locks in the back that were doing something weird. And so I just say that all that to say that things change. Nothing is ever exact. And some people people are very aware. They're like, I know this is just inspiration. Like I just want, I aspire to have my hair. Sometimes I get more into the conversation of what is it that you are looking for? What is your lifestyle like? Some people work in corporate, and so they want really refined results. They show me a picture of someone, and I don't know, maybe their hair could actually be more refined than that picture. It's just, I just wanted to put those things out there. There are factors that are not going to make this an exact science. Don't get discouraged if you think your hair is it's not looking like someone you aspire to be or whatever. As long as your hair is doing the best that it can. So that's what we should focus energy on, and making sure that it is strong and that it's viable. And if there's anything that you can do to make it look more desirable or look more like how you want it, and it's possible, then that you are putting energy into that. Again, hair, I used to say back in the day, organized chaos. And I think somebody made a business using, or controlled chaos. They used that word, but that's exactly kind of what is happening. We're allowing the hair to do what it's supposed to do, what it wants to do naturally, but we're giving it structure. We're giving it nice, little parameters, things for it to work within. But if you cannot let it just do its own thing with no assistance. If you want it to look a certain way, you got to make sure that you put the energy into that. All right. So, hey, y'all. This is my first time going live on the YouTube Microloc Mastery page. I'm simultaneously streaming on IG and my Facebook group and on Microloc's Facebook page. And I'm going to do I wanted to do a PSA, but okay. I think I might need to make that a separate video. I don't want to convolute the topics here. Yeah, I'm gonna do that later. But I also do need to plug that if there are people who are looking for support, there's some people who don't know that I have, in addition to the Micro Loc Mastery full training, I have smaller. I have a quick start self retightening course. I have and a retightening, repair, and grooming that were designed to have people not who don't want to do this whole thing, who want to learn how to do this on their own or have help, because it's a difference between going and getting a YouTube video or following someone who is DIYing on themselves versus someone, come on, sometimes you got to clout yourself. So I would hope that you guys do this too. If you have a ton of experience and over a decade, going on 13 years of experience with hundreds of people that with different hair types and textures, I take all that information and help guide you through this process as well in a smaller bite-sized option if you're interested in that. That as well. I don't know what. Connect on the free Facebook group, free microloctraining.com/join. All right. Okay, so that is all I'm gonna say. Have a great day. And yes, I can't even end this right. Have a great day, y'all. Bye.